Attending the SCR webinar series. Now I'd like to welcome Steve Schwartz with amazing video tours for our Social Media 101 presentation.
Can everybody hear me okay? Well, I want to thank everybody for coming and attending. Looks like we've got about 27 people or so in the room. Also wanted to thank the South Carolina Association of Realtors for giving me the opportunity to speak today. So we're going to get started here with Social Media 101. So you can follow along right there where the slide is, and I'm going to get started. All right, I always start off my classes with rules, and I do this to get people's attention, but my rules are fun, so let's go ahead and get right into it. I want everybody to relax. This is all about having fun and learning. When I used to sit in classrooms, and I still do sit in classrooms, I'm always so feverishly taking notes that I'm not paying attention to what the presenter is saying. And that's not what I want you to do. I want you to feel comfortable with the fact that you don't really necessarily have to take notes. Much of what I say, obviously all of the entire presentation is available to you as far as the PowerPoint is concerned. And I go into much more depth with some of the fundamental things that we're going to talk about here in my blog, which will give you the link at the very, very end. So feel free to just kick back and relax and just listen. This class for me, when I teach it, with in front of people, is actually a 90-minute class. So insofar as being able to get through all of my slides with enough time for questions, please write down your questions and hold them till the end. I may answer them prior to getting to the end, and you may have the same questions as some other individuals as well. And here's the most important thing. I've been a realtor for 5 years. I've been to Howard Brinton Star Power. I've been to Brian Buffini, and I've been to a lot of realtor tech seminars. None of this matters unless you implement something. So make sure that when you get out, you actually do put something into motion, because otherwise the education is all for naught. For those of you who have been in my classes before, you know that I have a very open door policy. I do this because I love doing it. I am available for questions, so feel free to email me or call me with questions, and of course all my contact information we'll have up at the end. And if you like what you hear, tell other agents, tell your broker. I do travel, and I am available for speaking, so if you like what you hear, tell your broker, please. A little bit about me, and this is not supposed to be about me, but I want you to know a little bit about my background. I'm going to go through this rather quickly. I realize that these presentations are all about you all, so I'm going to go through this slide pretty quick. I did 13 years in corporate America, and really the reason why this is relevant is because for 10 of those years I acted as a liaison or a go-between between very, very technical coding staff and end users. We did a lot of software implementations when I worked up in Virginia, and I got real good at being able to take very technical concepts and essentially distilling them down in a way that the end users can understand, and conversely taking end user ideas for software implementations and putting them in such a way that the coders could understand. So I go to, like I said, I go to a lot of realtor seminars, and unfortunately I see realtors go into these seminars anticipating great things and getting very, very excited, but then they sit in some of these things and they're done at such a high technical level that the realtors actually leave more frustrated than they are when they get there. My intention is to not do that to you. I am a licensed realtor. I sold real estate actively for 4 years, long around pretty much the end of 2008. My phone slowed down as far as buyers and sellers were concerned, but I do video virtual tours for all of my listings, or at least I did back then. And what I did notice was that my phone started ringing from other realtors asking me who was helping me market my properties, and they were quite surprised to find out that I was doing it myself. Eventually, I started offering my full motion video virtual tours to other realtors, and while I was at the house I started taking pictures for other realtors as well. I've been a photographer for 30 years. Okay, been helping realtors for technology for 5 years. When I first got into this business, I traded technology experience for real estate experience. I was able to come up to speed very, very quickly in real estate. And I've taught in and around North and South Carolina. I've done bar camps. As they mentioned previously, I was at the South Carolina State Convention last year. I've done virtual real estate bar camp, and I'm proud to be here doing this webinar today. And I also do one-on-one consulting. So I really want to get to the real core of what's important here, and that is my audience. We've got, looks like 29 people in the room right now. There is a feature where you can raise your hand. If you look at the bottom, right around the bottom left of your screen, you have the ability to raise your hand. I don't know how this is going to go off, but by a show of hands, how many of you are on Facebook? All right, we're up to 10, 11. Okay, so roughly, let's just call it 1/3. I will share with you the statistics. I know we're using technology here. We're doing something a little bit new. A few people may have not gotten the hang of it. But this number, as far as the number of realtors in my classes who are on Facebook, it's roughly 75% are already on Facebook in one capacity or another. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to put your hands down, and I'm going to ask you another question. How many of you are on Twitter? 6, 7, 9, 10. All right, so that's 1/3 of the audience, which is real great if you would put your hands down. Normally that statistic is around 10% is on Twitter for the classes that I teach live. Okay, how many of you are on LinkedIn? About 1/3. Okay. That runs pretty parallel to what I'm used to. About around 1/3 are on LinkedIn. Okay, if you guys could drop your hands again. And how many of you blog and blog actively? That means at least once a week. Just a few of you, which is right in line with what I'm used to hearing. It's generally less, you guys ready for this? Less than 5% of all realtors blog actively, okay? Now, the last question, how many of you are doing all of this? That's actually a pretty good percentage. Usually it's less than 5% of my classes are actually doing all this. So I'm excited to have you guys here. And you know, at the end when we do a little bit of Q&A, I encourage your interactivity, because obviously the percentage here is a little bit higher than I'm used to in my classes. So that's wonderful stuff. So thank you for participating in that. I teach differently than everybody else. I'm sure that you guys are sick and tired of hearing that you need to be on Facebook and you need to be on Twitter and you need to be doing all of this stuff. And that's all fine and good, and I agree with that philosophy. The problem is nobody really slows down enough to tell you why this stuff is important. Okay, I want to get into the why. I don't think the what is important until you understand the why. And here's the why. Do you know who your future clients are? Now, when I ask this question in a regular class, right about this time, everybody kind of mums the word and looks around at everybody else kind of sheepishly, okay? But I want to get into your future clients, okay? Let's take a look at the future real estate transaction, okay? Everybody knows that the largest percentage of our population in America right now are the baby boomers. Everybody knows that if you look at a graph of population, there's a big bubble right around the baby boomers, okay? Your baby boomers are on average going to buy one more house. They're going to have one more buying cycle, okay? So just keep that in mind. Generation X has on average 6 more buying cycles left, okay? So just kind of make a mental note of that. Generation Y has on average 7 buying cycles left. That's kind of nice to know, but let's put it into context. Here's the key. This was the real surprise for me when I first researched this and I first asked about this, or figured out about this particular statistic. Generation Y will eventually outnumber the baby boomers, okay? Generation Y at this point is 60 million strong. The boomers are at 78 million strong. But the youngest members of Generation Y are still teenagers. So as we progress forward, those teenagers are going to become of home buying age. And essentially that 60 million strong is going to outnumber the boomers. And just by way of comparison, I don't mean to leave Generation Y out. They're 20 million strong, okay? Or excuse me, Generation X, pardon me, is 20 million strong. Generation Y is 60 million strong. Okay, here's some realities here. Generation Y, they don't really know what life is like before a computer. Okay, something you need to keep in mind. here is the tie-in. Here is the statistic that just blew me away. The largest population and our biggest clients in the next 2 decades are on social networks on average 3 hours every day. Okay? So our biggest buying population over the course of the next 2 decades, they live on these social networks. And we as realtors, we need to reach out to Generation Y, or we're missing the boat on the largest percentage of the population. Okay? Just, this might surprise some of you. Generation Y, email is passé for them. It's too slow. They want answers, and they want answers right now. And I hate to be a wake-up call for some folks. We've got a pretty technically savvy group in here, but you guys got to realize that this really surprises some people. If you don't text, Generation Y will find someone who does. If they are driving in front of a home with a sign in front of it, and you're their buyer agent, they will try to text you to find out more information about that particular house. They're not going to call you. Okay, so I'm a huge advocate of getting a smartphone, albeit a BlackBerry or a Droid or an iPhone. Just get something. Okay? You don't have one now, you're going to realize by the end of this why it's so important to have one. All right. When I teach this class and when I'm out in the realtor community, I hear it time and time again. Oh, this social media thing's a fad. It's going to go away. Okay? If you guys can type, which I think you can, start throwing some years at me as to when you think social media basically became, the inception of social media. Can anybody take a guess at what year social media was invented, for lack of a better word? Do they have the ability to type? I'm not sure.
Yep, Steve, they do.
Okay.
You guys just type in the chat box what year you think. Go ahead.
All right, Dorothy, thank you, Dorothy, for your answer. She says 2000. That's a good guess. All right, Joanne, 2008. All right, so while people are taking, I got Kathleen with 1994. Good work, Kathleen. I just gave something away, didn't I? All right, let's get through this slide. All right, in 2006, Dig, StumbleUpon, Reddit, and Delicious, these are our social bookmarking sites. We don't need to get into the details about what, if you haven't heard about those, that's all right. But 2006, that print is kind of small, isn't it? Can everybody see that print? 2006, I'll just read it to you. 2006 Twitter, that kind of surprises people that Twitter's been around for so long. Twitter really exploded last March when it was on Oprah. The Oprah effect added 2 million 2 million Twitter users within a month, and that's really when Twitter became a mainstream thing, is when Oprah talked about it. But it was around a lot prior to that. Okay, Facebook is another 2006 in terms of when it was expanded to everyone. Ning networks, if you're not familiar with Ning, think of them as mini localized Facebooks. Okay, YouTube is 2005. They announced their 5th birthday this year. Facebook, Harvard only. It was 2004. Flickr, 2004. I'm going to go a little faster, 2003. A couple you've heard of, LinkedIn and MySpace. 2002 was Friendster. And let's see, I'm just looking over at some of the answers. We've got, I've gotten past a bunch of the answers in terms of going back in time. I still haven't caught up with Kathleen for 1994. Okay. Rise.com was 2001. Rise was similar to LinkedIn, but they didn't do a very good job with it, and it didn't take off. If you have kids, you know about Napster. That's file-to-file or peer-to-peer sharing. That's 99. In 97, 6degrees.com. And if you talk to a social media purist, they will say this was the beginning of social media as we know it now. And the differentiator there was that 6degrees.com was the very first social media networking site to allow me, for example, to friend you and then also see who all of your friends were and friend your friends. That was what the purists call the beginning. I take a different opinion, because people were getting social on the internet long prior to 1997 with ICQ and AOL Instant Messenger. Going back further, 1995, people were getting social on classmates.com. 93, 94, AOL chat rooms. The chat rooms, the Instant Messenger came a little bit later, but there was a lot of social activity going on in the early 90s with the chat rooms. Internet relay chat, if you guys remember what a DOS screen looked like, internet relay chat was what basically became the AOL chat rooms, but it was a green screen, or an old-fashioned DOS screen. And you can go all the way back to the early 1980s with the BBSs, which are bulletin board systems. You guys probably remember Prodigy and CompuServe. You were able to share files, send email, read, and there was news available on these networks. So, I don't think I have a hard time selling this group on the fact that it's been around for a long time and it's not going anywhere. Now, underneath Dig, we can look at the Now, which is Brightkite, Foursquare, these location-based network games that the kids are all playing. When I say kids, I mean 20-somethings that they're all playing right now. I won't get into detail about what those are because I just don't have enough time. But just know that that's what people are playing right now. You've probably heard of people playing Foursquare. Foursquare is adding 15,000 new members a day. Okay, and then also the Now, or next, you've probably heard of Google Wave, Google Buzz. This is Google jumping into the space with a combination of productivity and social media. Okay, so hopefully you realize now that this is not a fad. It's not going anywhere. The networks will change, but as I'm going to mention to you later on, the network's not really, the social media is not really important. It's the people that you meet that is. Okay. All right, so the internet got social. Some of you may or may not have heard the terminology Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. Web 1.0, if you go back 10 years and you would go to CNN.com or ESPN.com and you would go to a website and you would read the content. There was no interactivity. You just went to the website. That was Web 1.0. With the advent of blogs originally and then social media websites, it's two-way communication. It's interactivity. It's about interaction. Most blogs allow comments. So now, instead of just putting up a website that offers information to people that they can read, I want to interact as a web designer. I want to interact with these folks. So I'm going to write a blog article, and at the end of every blog article is the opportunity for the general public to comment on that blog. Now it's social. Now it's two-way. Web 3.0 is something that you're going to hear a lot more of. And I hate it that I can't see you all right now. Web 3.0 is a little scary. Facebook has more information on us now than any other network ever has. And I'll give you an example. I must have posted something on Facebook or something that I was in the market for a new camera. And one day I log on to Facebook and there are ads over on the right-hand side for Nikon cameras. Well, I love Nikon cameras. That's what I use. And it just kind of freaked me out that just because I may have interacted with somebody, made some sort of reference to a Nikon camera, now I'm getting ads in my face, okay, of what I'm thinking about buying. So essentially Web 3.0, as scary as this may sound, is the web anticipating your wants before you even realize you want them. And I did click on that ad. So just food for thought there. All right, so what is social media? I've got two long, boring, sterile definitions here that I got from great sources on the internet. But I'm not going to sit here and read these big, long, boring things. What I want you to focus on are the first bullet point, social media. The key word there is share. Sharing opinions, sharing insights, sharing experiences. And then the second bullet point, user participation and user-generated content. Okay, it's all about the two-way flow of communication on the internet. That's what social media is in its simplest terms. Okay, so I've got what I call the 4 pillars of social media. And the first one is your blog. I've got the W represents WordPress. That's just because it's my favorite blogging platform. Number 2 is Twitter. We've got Facebook. And we've got LinkedIn. Now, I'm going to keep going back to this point that this is a pretty technically savvy group. But usually when I teach classes, I have people that are sitting in the audience that are freaking out about the fact that they're so worried that they're not on the right social networks, or, oh no, what about Google Wave and Google Buzz, and what about this and what about that? If you look at the Wikipedia definition of social media, there's over, I think last time I counted, it was 160 social networks out there. You can't be a member of 160 social networks. So what I preach, and I'll preach this throughout this presentation, is go where the people are. Okay, Facebook, 400 million plus, and that number's probably a month old. I don't even know what it is today. Twitter, 30 million plus. LinkedIn, 65 million plus. And there's over 200 million blogs out there on the internet. Okay? So I want to talk about each of these individually, and I want to tell you why they're important, how they all work together. All right, we're going to start with blogging. Okay? A blog is it's an online weblog. It's a blog for short is what it is. And the way blogs started out is they were basically online diaries or online journals. People just basically putting their thoughts out there. It was more of a social thing before it became a business thing. Well, now it's a business thing, and every company is blogging. Okay, you guys as realtors have an unbelievable opportunity for blogging. You guys have access to information that the general public wants. And that is sold information, market information. Everybody's clamoring to know what's going on in real estate. I'm sure every time any of you engage in a conversation with one of your neighbors, they know you're a realtor. They want to know what's going on in the neighborhood, what's going on in the market. Okay, these are all things that you can blog about. Okay, so there's a little definition of a blog. The blog owner contributes the content, or some people call them articles. And the readers have the opportunity to come to the site, read the article, and interact. They can comment, therefore making it social. If you look at some of the more popular blogs out there, there's a gentleman out there who's a very highly paid speaker, travels the world speaking about social media. His website is unmarketing.com. I was reading a blog article of his last night. It had 172 comments. Okay, that's a lot of traffic. That's a lot of people reading your blog. Okay, he had that blog article had gotten retweeted on Twitter over 5,000 times. Okay, so blogs are most commonly open for the world to see. The only exception here is, if you were blogging about a new child or something like that, that might be something you don't want the world to know about. That's really the only instance that I can think of that, a personal blog. But you guys, I mean, please understand that the context that I'm coming from is all about business. Okay, I'm all about business. I'm all about you guys getting more business utilizing these tools for your business. I'm not talking about the personal stuff. Okay, so keep your blogs open. Okay, all right. Here's something that really surprises most people. If you think of social media, your online social media marketing campaign as a wheel, your blog is the hub of your campaign. Most people don't get that. It needs to be the hub of your social media campaign, and I'll tell you why. First of all, you take ownership of your blog, and you put a lot of time into blog. You should put more time in the blog than any of the other social networks. Okay, you own it. It's yours. It resides. Depending on where you decide to host, you have a lot of control over that blog. Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but if you put a lot of effort into Twitter and Twitter goes away, the likelihood of that happening with your blog is dramatically less than Twitter going away. Okay, so the reason why your blog is so important is because you have the obligation to Generation Y to reach out and connect with them. You have to connect with them on their terms, okay? Generation Y does not want to hear your sales pitch. Commercials, everything is going to change dramatically in the next 5 years in terms of the way advertisers advertise. Generation Y does not want to hear it. You got to remember one statistic, and that is that 10% of all advertising, it's actually less than 10%, is actually effective. But 95% of referral-based advertising is extremely effective. And what I mean by that is if you blog on a regular basis and you become the area expert for your area, and you blog and people know that they can count on you weekly or daily or however it is that you decide to blog, they know that they can count on you for new information in your marketplace, they'll keep coming back. The cool thing is that once you become known as the area expert, you might have person A sitting down at lunch with person B. Person B says, I'm looking to move. I need a realtor. And person A might say, you know what? I read Mary Realtor's blog all the time. She knows her stuff. She knows the area. She's always telling me about the new restaurants that come out. She eats at them first. And she is just a reliable source of information. You should check out Mary's blog. Well, guess what just happened? You got that 90% of effective advertising because of your blog. Your blog establishes a history of trust, and trust builds followers. Followers build referrals. Referrals buy and sell houses, and that gets you paid. Okay? Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all these other things, I look at those as methodologies for which to drive traffic to my blog. but you have to be careful there too. I'm going to get to that on a subsequent slide. You can't just be tweeting and Facebook updating about your listings and self-promoting. As a matter of fact, you can only self-promote 10% of the time. We'll get to that. Okay. I have a blogging class. It's a 90-minute class. So I'm not going to get into all the details about all these blogging platforms, but you might want to write down the orange B is Blogger, so that's blogger.com. The middle one is activerain.com, and then WordPress. WordPress comes in two flavors. You can get on wordpress.com, set up a blog, be blogging today. WordPress.org is a lot more difficult to set up, but WordPress.org is the single best option for blogging. Okay, I don't want to get in all the details there because I'll get mired down into it and I could talk about it for a half an hour or longer. If you want to be blogging today with an instant audience, check out activerain.com. There's another one called realtown.com. ActiveRain showed its weaknesses within the last couple of weeks. They changed servers and it was down for a week. People were screaming bloody murder because they couldn't blog or they couldn't read blogs. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of maintaining ownership of your blog. If you're blogging on ActiveRain, or if you're blogging on blogger.com or even wordpress.com, you're blogging on somebody else's server. If you do it the fully customizable way where you're blogging on wordpress.org, you have total ownership of it and you don't have to worry about it going down. Okay, that's little bit more than I really wanted to get into, but I just wanted you to know you've got options. I recommend that everybody within my ear checks out wordpress.org, wordpress.com, activerain.com, realtown.com, and blogger.com, and make a decision as to blogging. Now remember, I'm also available. If you get into this stuff and you start getting confused, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to explain this in better detail for you. Okay, so a little bit about blogging. All right, and then this benefits here. This is something that I do if I had more time in terms of blogging to your site versus a public site. This really is content for another class. Maybe if this class does well, maybe they'll have me come back and maybe I can teach a little bit more about blogging. But let's just leave it at that for now because I want to move on to Facebook. I talk about Facebook second, but that certainly doesn't mean that I think it's the second most important. As a matter of fact, you have to be very, very careful about how you use Facebook. But let's talk a little bit about it. Hopefully you guys can read that. It says, social networking site intended for connecting with family, friends, and business associates. Okay. It was started by a college kid at Harvard in 2004. Facebook was started by a guy who wanted to meet girls. And as funny as that may seem, that's where it started at Harvard in 2004. Facebook is a closed network. I equate it to a party at your house. Okay, it's a cocktail party at your house. You invite the people into your world that you want to interact with on Facebook. Okay, so you could draw a circle around your Facebook community and your messages, your updates, your pictures that you post and stuff like that. If you have your preferences set, will not go any further than that. Okay, so think of Facebook as a closed network. The differentiating characteristic about Facebook is that wall. That wall was new. That was something that never been done before. And the ability to post your updates to your wall and the ability for your friends and family within your sphere to interact with you on your wall, that was something new and exciting. And that's why I think Facebook, one of the things why Facebook has differentiated itself from all of the other social networks and why it is so popular. You as a real estate professional need to remember, I hope I don't lose anybody in the room here, but I'm a Clemson guy. And come around football season, there's a lot of smack talk with my other ACC friends and with my Gamecock friends that appears on my, I'm getting booed. That pops up on my wall. This is something I don't necessarily want my real estate clients to see. Okay, so I'm very, very careful about the wall. There's another Go Gamecocks. And that's good. See, and you just got to remember that these types of things are going to come up, and you've got to be very, very careful about what your friends are saying on your wall if you're using Facebook for business. Okay, so like I said, Facebook, think of it as a cocktail party. Okay, it's at your house. You control the guest list. All right. Now, I've got a Facebook class as well, and I get way more into this in the Facebook class, but you can differentiate your personal world from your business world by creating a Facebook fan page. And I call it a fan page, even though 10 days ago or so, Facebook changed it to a like page. You now like companies. You don't fan them anymore. So that's a fundamental change that Facebook made. That it's just a word. The functionality is there. And if you want to use Facebook for business, I recommend you look into the fan page. It's something I can help you out with more, but we just don't have the time for it right now. But look into a Facebook fan page. All right, Twitter. Twitter is unbelievably awesome. Okay, here's the definition that you know. It's microblogging in 140 characters or less. Who cares? Most people don't. Less than 5% of the public population actually get Twitter, okay? And if you really want to have your eyes opened about Twitter, okay, I want to recommend a website called tweetdeck.com. There's another one called Seismic. There's another one called Hootsuite. There's probably 20 of them. And what these are third-party software applications that you can install on your computer or install on your phone, even better, okay, that basically take the Twitter experience and make it better, okay? Now, Twitter, second bullet, is like Facebook. It's a cocktail party. The thing is that your updates on Twitter can be seen by everyone in the world. That is an incredible marketing tool if you use it correctly. Okay. Now, I wish I had a little visual here for you, but if you can, I want you to imagine for a second your screen broken up into 4 columns. What I preach about Twitter is that Twitter is not about tweeting. It's about listening. Okay. And what I mean by that, I live in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Okay. If you break I'm trying to show you with my mouse, but I can't do that. If you break your screen up into 4 columns and you just picture the far right column, at the top of the column, imagine it says Fort Mill. Here's the beautiful thing about Twitter. Anytime anybody in the world mentions Fort Mill, I'm going to know about it. It's going to pop up in that column. So Twitter is about listening, not about what you just ate for breakfast. And if your attitude about Twitter is nobody cares what I just ate for breakfast, you're probably right. Nobody does care. But if you use Twitter as a listening device, you set up column searches for keywords that are relevant to your geographical area. I follow Fort Mill, TK, Lake Wylie, and Charlotte. I'll give you an example. A year ago, thank you for the columns. A year ago, before the Oprah effect, I got on Twitter and I set up a column for Charlotte Realtor. And I listened for Charlotte Realtor. And somebody from California tweeted. They said, I'm looking for a great Charlotte Realtor. And it took every bone in my body not to pounce on it immediately because the realtor in me wanted to pounce. But I did. I let it go. I let it go for a full hour. Thank you for that, by the way. She's putting Fort Mill up in a column. That's wonderful. Nobody pounced on it because nobody knows how to use Twitter correctly. What I did was I waited an hour and then I typed in, I responded to that tweet and I engaged that person. I said, listen, I do video and photography for realtors. I know lots of great realtors. Can I send you a referral? And she said yes, and I paired the two of them together, and guess what happened? She bought a house. I don't remember when it closed, but I got a referral fee for that. Okay. I'm not actively buying and selling real estate anymore. I love the marketing side of this business. I'm not driving buyers around. I'm not listing property anymore, but I maintain my license and I'm sure as heck happy to refer things to other realtors that I know and trust. So boom, it happened. I made money on Twitter. That's a real life example. And I will share with you one other thing. Twitter, let me stick to my bullets here. Make sure I don't get too off track. Okay, the Twitter, like I said earlier, because there's no circle drawn around all of your, there's no circle drawn around it. You will follow people and people will follow you. But like I said, if you use keyword-rich topics like Fort Mill or Realtor or anything, if you can say it out loud or type it, you can follow a column for any keyword in the world. If you like knitting and you want to meet other people who like knitting, you can make a column for knitting. You can make a column for you people in Colombia. You can make a column for Colombia knitting and follow other knitters in Colombia. Okay, so just as another example. So Twitter's about listening. It's not about tweeting. Okay, all right. and if used correctly, it's a hugely very, very effective promotional tool. Now, here's what I caution you. You can't be out on Twitter just pushing your listings. Just listed a house today. Just closed a real estate transaction today. Just met with buyers today. Just if it's all about you, you're going to lose touch with Generation Y. Generation Y could care less about you until they know that you care about them. So here's my rule for Facebook updates and Twitter updates. 9 tweets of interactivity with other individuals for every 1 shameless self-promotion. Can you push your listings out on Twitter? Absolutely. When you write a new blog article, can you advertise or basically say, hey, just wrote a new blog article on Fort Mill real estate with a link to your blog article? Absolutely put that on Twitter. But don't make it all about you. It only can be about you 10% of the time. The other 90% of the time, listen and engage other people. And I will tell you right now, the vast majority of people on Twitter are people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and older who are business owners. That's who's dominating the Twitter sphere right now, is business people. I'm going to tell you right now, there are things called tweet ups. And if you don't have a tweet up in your local area, start one. Tweet ups are gatherings of Twitter users. It is the single best networking event I've ever been to in my life. It's beats, and I don't mean to beat up on anybody, but it's better than BNI. It's better than a lot of these other things. The people who show up at these tweet ups are real people. They're real business people. 90% of them have small businesses. They're looking to meet you because they want to tell you about their business, and you should be looking to meet them and tell them about your business. I will tell you, I've in the last year, I've been to 11 out of 12 tweet ups. In the last 3 or 4 that I've gone to, every time I've gone to one, in the last 3 or 4 months, I've had at least 2 or 3 people come up to me and say, hey, Steve, I've got a video client for you. Did they call you? Okay. Wouldn't it be great to be getting that as a real estate agent? And I'll also tell you that I was loving it for a long time. There were no realtors at the Charlotte tweet up until recently. And I will tell you that in June, I met a close friend at a tweet up who knew that I was in the real estate community, asked me if I would hook him up with a realtor, and I said yes. That house is closing in June. That will be, I'm not even practicing real estate anymore. That will be my second closing because of Twitter. And if that isn't strong evidence for why you shouldn't be checking this out, I don't know what is. Okay? All right, LinkedIn. If LinkedIn were a party, it would be the party that you show up to in your business suit. Okay? LinkedIn's been around for a long time. It's very, very business oriented. It's the way it started. It's very, it's much more professional slant to it. It's very serious in nature. People use it. It's a great tool used by job seekers, and it's also gives you the opportunity to post your resume and get recommendations from past bosses. The one thing that most people don't know about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn is way more than just reconnecting with old coworkers. There's groups and discussions on LinkedIn. There's one for the National Association of Realtors. It's a realtor only thing. You have to give your NERDS number just to get into it. Okay, and they evaluate, and if you're out there spamming your listings, they'll kick you out. So it's a great interactive place for realtors to go. Lenders and people who are trying to sell to realtors, they're not allowed in the club. So it's a great place to go. That's just one example. Meetups. There's a lot of meetups that are organized, groups that are organized through LinkedIn. Professional gatherings. It's like a tweet up, but it's not a tweet up because it's born out of LinkedIn. The networking here is unbelievable, and you've got to remember that you've got to take your social media campaign and you've got to take it offline. You'll hear a term or an acronym IRL, which means in real life. You've got to take this in real life, and I'll tell you what, when you get there and you see these people, I see people who have never met before hug each other like they've been friends for years because you feel like you know them. And these people are going to refer business to you. All right, so how to start? It sounds overwhelming, right? Well, I'm going to get you started, and it's not going to be overwhelming. Remember, you got to build trust with Generation Y. You can only build trust with Generation Y by being the expert. Okay, kick out good information, quality information that your community wants to know about. Real quick, when I was selling actively, I had a website called last10sold.com. My whole angle was, back in 2005, every time a house sold in a neighborhood, it sold for $1,500 to $2,000 more than the last one. So that was a real hot topic. What are the houses selling for in the neighborhood? So I blogged on Last 10 Sold, and I built a following. People knew that they knew and trusted in me as that every week I would do a different neighborhood and I would do a last 10 sold. So I had people anxiously awaiting new blog posts. And if I missed a week, I would hear about it. Where's the blog post from this week? That's what you want. You can blog as a realtor. Man, absorption rates, information. You can take information out of the MLS and tweak it about 1.5 million different ways and kick out information that's beneficial to your community. Okay? Whether you do it by neighborhood, it just doesn't matter. Statistics are your best friend, and it gives you an army of information to blog about. Also, be the realtor who's the first one to eat at new restaurants, go to new stores, and blog about it. People will anticipate hearing from you when a new store opens. And I got to the point where, and this is still kind of the case, if a new restaurant opens, I get tweets within the first 48 hours, hey, Steve, have you eaten there yet? People anticipate that I'm going to eat there, and I'm going to blog about it. And here's the thing. If you have a bad experience, don't slam anybody. There's just no good that comes out of talking ill of anybody else. That is just terrible. If you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say anything at all. And just restrain yourself, because you do not want to get into a public you-know-what contest with anybody online, because you both come up losers. Okay? Here's what I'm going to ask for you, or from you. 1 article a week. Takes an hour to write a blog article. Do it on Sunday night. Pick something. But do it with frequency and do it with regularity. Any less than once a week is just not enough. But you can blog more regularly than 1 a week, okay? All I'm asking you for is 50 hours. 50 articles in the course of a year. You don't even have to work Christmas or one other week in the year, okay? You got to remember, when you first start blogging, you're not going to have a following, especially if you decide to do it, on your own and not on a platform like Active Rain. But remember, blogging is great for building content. We're also talking about your primary website here. My primary website is on page 1 of a Google search for every single keyword I ever wanted it to be on. Okay? And that's because of blogging. It's also because of video, but blogging is a big, big, big part of that. Okay? So content is king on the internet, and if your website is not found on the first 1 or 2 pages of Google, you might as well not even be paying for a website. Okay? Blogging is an excellent, excellent way to fatten your website with good quality content, make people keep clamoring for more, keep coming back, and if for no other reason whatsoever, if you have a 0 audience, which you will still have a 0 audience 3-4 months into it, don't give up, because the Google Spider is still reading your blog, and the Google Spider is taking note. And if you're blogging on a regular basis, you're going to watch your website float up to the top of the Google search. Okay, I missed a bullet here. Let me go back here. Add Twitter. Tweet. Every time you write a blog article, tweet about it. But make sure you're engaging others. The biggest compliment you can pay to somebody on Twitter is retweeting one of their tweets. And if this doesn't make sense to you, guess what? I got a Twitter class too. But look into that. Or maybe we'll figure out a way to, for me to get my Twitter information out to all of you. Retweeting is a great way. If you're nice to people on Twitter, especially, remember, we're talking about other businesses here. If you're nice to them, it's going to pay you back in spades. I'll give you an example. You write a blog article and you tweet about it. One of your followers goes and reads your article and retweets your article. Now we're talking about that referral-based marketing that 90% that actually counts. Best thing in the world you could have is for somebody to send people to your website. That's how things go viral. That's how it really takes off and gets very, very exciting. You write a blog article and have 10 people retweet it, man, that is just, there's no better marketing than that, okay? All right, after you get comfortable with your blogging and your Twittering, add LinkedIn. I meant to say tweeting. Add LinkedIn, join groups, participate in the discussions, and remember, localize. Keep it all localized. You guys are realtors, so localization is a big deal. Keep it local. Get involved. Go to in real life things. Okay. Add Facebook. See, Facebook is last on my list. I want you guys to, for just a second, forget that you're a realtor and imagine you're an accountant. But you're not an accountant with your own business. You're an accountant that goes to work for some big corporation. You're in front of the computer all day long. Your head hurts, whatnot. You go home. You got to remember that the general world, not us realtors and salespeople, but the rest of the world, they go to Facebook for fun. After a long day of spending, time in debit and credit hell, an accountant doesn't want to get on Facebook and get a whole bunch of listing ads, or whatever you want to call them, from a realtor. They want to be engaged. People preach Facebook because it's the most popular one, and I agree with that, but you've got to remember to make it light. It's got to be fun. You've got to engage your fans. There's so many different things that you can do with Facebook. I'll give you one example. I've got a Facebook class too, but with Facebook, keep it fun. Contests are fun on Facebook. You can announce that you're having an open house and have people come to your wall and announce that they're going to the open house. That way, anybody who's following them will see it on their wall. You got to be willing to give away something too. $50 gas card. Tell people on your within your Facebook sphere. I'm having an open house on Saturday from 2 to 4 at 123 Main Street. Come and tell me you saw me on Facebook, and I'll enter you into a contest. You gotta give $50 away, but you want effective marketing using social media. That's one way you can do it. Be willing to give away stuff. Find things of value for other people and give stuff away. Keep it fun, keep it light. Do not get on Facebook and just listing, because whether you guys know it or not, and I'm guessing that this group probably does know it, people can hide you on Facebook. And if all you're doing, I have so many realtors that I've completely hidden. I never get any updates from them anymore because all they do, it's just listing. Nobody cares. But if you put your listing out there and then you put 9 other things out there, other updates out there that are fun, you just might find another business owner repost your listing. That's where you want to be. Okay, so that's it. Okay, remember the 4 pillars of social media. Okay, you got your blog, you got your Twitter, you got your Facebook, you got your LinkedIn. You're covered. You're covered right then and there. I have so many people in my classes that just get so freaked out about all this brand new technology that comes out. I will share with you guys right now, I'm pretty technically savvy, or at least I've been told that. But I don't care about, honestly, I don't care about Google Wave, and I don't care about Google Buzz yet. I'm staying where the people are, okay? And I'm not getting stressed out about the stuff that's not important yet. Stay where the people are. Okay, and remember to take it offline. Tweet up. I thought it sounded silly at first until I went, and I realized, wow, what a great event. Meetup.com, meetup.com. Check it out. You'll find it. You'll bump into it in the LinkedIn discussion groups. But take it offline. Meet people in real life, and you will have fans of your business that are willing to refer you. All right. Let's manage the time. Let's see here. I got 9 minutes. I got to get rolling here. Manage the time. I'm going to teach you how to okay. Everyone says to me that they don't have enough time for this stuff, and I completely understand that, but I'm going to teach you that you can do all this stuff and not even cut into your normal workday where you're out buying and selling real estate. Okay, I'm going to throw something at you here, a little statistic from the Nielsen people. Guys, Nielsen says that your average American spends over 4 hours per day in front of the television set. Now, when I teach this class live, I look at a room full of people shaking their heads. Room full of hardworking realtors. That's not me. That's not me. It's nobody. I've never taught a class to anybody who fits into this average of 4 hours a day thing. But the reality is that there's 1 million realtors out there and there's only 300 million people in the country. So there's a disconnect there somewhere. So whether you choose to admit it out loud or not, but do some soul searching and think about this for a second. Think about how much time you spend in front of the TV, because here's the key. Get a laptop, get a BlackBerry, iPhone. I know that the Droids are coming out. I'm a huge proponent of the iPhone because all of my apps on the iPhone look exactly like they do online or on the computer. My TweetDeck looks just like my TweetDeck on my computer. So does my Facebook. So does my LinkedIn. So does my Flickr. They all look the same. I don't need to learn anything new. So I'm a huge advocate. And I try to poke fun a little bit here. My wife loves Biggest Loser. I love my wife. We sit in the same room together. But that show is 2 hours long. Come on. And it's mindless television. It doesn't really require 100% of your attention. So if you can sit in front of shows like American Idol and Biggest Loser and all these other shows I'm not a big fan of, they don't require all of your attention. I love sports. Sports doesn't require all of my attention. So you can actually get all your social media stuff done while watching television. assuming that you get a BlackBerry or iPhone or a laptop. Okay. Here's the other thing. I sold real estate for 4 years. I know what it's like. I know you guys sit in driveways waiting for buyers. 10, 15, 20. Sometimes they don't even show up, right? That's wasted time. That's time you could be checking in with your social networks. It's built right into your existing day. You don't need to carve out time other than, remember, I'm asking you for a blog article on Sunday nights. It won't cut into your normal day. Okay. A lot of times, how about open houses? Great time for social media. For those of you who do duty time or uptime or opportunity time, whatever you want to call it, great time to do your social media. And if your broker gives you the slant eye as if you're goofing off, then your broker needs to attend one of my classes, because this is an unbelievable time to do your social media marketing. Okay. And here's the fun thing, guys. After you build your network, it's actually fun. You're going to look forward to chatting with your friends on Twitter and chatting with your friends on Facebook and that type of thing. And I'm not talking about mom and people you went to high school with. I'm talking about other business owners who are excited to refer you business, and you're excited to refer them business. That's where it gets really, really good. Okay, so the future. I have really got to get going here. I'm going slow. I apologize for that. Think of social media. People say to me, oh, I don't need to get on Twitter. I never got on MySpace. MySpace came and went, and it didn't hurt my business. Well, people are telling me that I don't need to get on Twitter. Twitter will be gone in 2 years, and it's just not going to matter. Well, that may or may not be true, but you've got to think of Twitter as the vehicle. Okay, think of Twitter as the bus. Okay, the vehicle is not important. Okay. It's the people that are important. Right now, I have 1,000 people following me on Twitter. Okay. If Twitter's not around in 2 or 3 years, or, my bullet here says if Twitter or Facebook are no longer in vogue, I don't care. I'm going to jump onto the next pretty shiny bus with everybody else. Little by little, I'm going to see my followers, or people that I interact with on a regular basis, say, hey, check out such and such, and check out such and such. And at the first voice of it, I'm not going to do anything. But if I start to see the mass amounts of people jumping off the Twitter bus or jumping off the Facebook bus and getting on another bus, I'm going to get on that bus with them. Okay, so the vehicle is not important. Don't delay now because you don't think Twitter is going to be around. It's going to be something else. Twitter and Facebook don't matter. It's the connections that you make that do matter. And if you don't get involved, you're going to get left behind. We are at a time right now that is exciting as when websites first came out. It's a great time to get involved. And if you don't get involved now, you will get left behind. Okay? Don't climb onto something 3 years from now and forego 3 years of having the opportunity of networking on these sites. And that is it. My contact information is here. I referred a lot to my website, which is amazingvideotours.com. If you go to amazingvideotours.com, I've got a little training block. I do a lot of step-by-step videos. I've done one on Facebook fan pages. I've got a whole series on Twitter. Got stuff on little of everything. A lot of realtor-concentric stuff on my blog. It's all out there. It's all free. Check it out, and then let me know if you have any additional questions. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm Amazing Vid Tours on Twitter. I'm pretty much Amazing Video Tours everywhere else on all my other networks. And then, of course, they just popped my email address in there. Okay, I apologize. I ran long-winded, but we do have some time for questions.
Thanks, Steve. We appreciate that presentation. We do have one question from Mary.
Okay.
She wants a little bit more information on how to set up the columns and with tweets.
Okay, Mary, you've got to. I don't know where you are with whether you're using TweetDeck or whatever. But if you're using TweetDeck, you need to go to tweetdeck.com and you need to install it on your desktop. And then essentially what you do, and I don't have it in front of me, there is a little magnifying glass at the upper portion of the screen, and if you click on that magnifying glass, it will allow you to enter a search. And I apologize, I don't have it in front of me right now. I would love the opportunity to show that to you more specifically. But find the magnifying glass, click on it, and you can create your searches that way. And hopefully that helps. Dorothy has a question on YouTube. I love YouTube. I absolutely love YouTube. I'm a video guy. I upload all my stuff to YouTube. I think doing your own video tours of your house is it's just an unbelievable opportunity. I mean, YouTube indexes so well throughout the internet, and it also syndicates well. So if you're doing video tours of your homes and you know how to, if you know the keyword searches, the keywords to use in your title and your description, you have the ability to get your videos all over the internet. And that's actually, I do teach another class on YouTube and video and all that stuff. That's the class that I taught at the South Carolina state meeting last year. But I'm a huge advocate and fan of YouTube. What are the questions? No questions?
Thanks. You guys have any more questions? Submit them. We got just about 1 more minute.
All right. What's the best cameras for YouTube? Are you talking about video cameras? Okay. I don't specifically give out model numbers for video cameras. And the reason for that is because a lot of them are really good. Guys, I'm a fan of using a real camcorder if you're going to do videos of your listings. I'm not a big fan of the flip. It does a good job, but it's the flip is great for taking pictures of the grandkids and stuff. But if you're willing to make the investment to do video of your listings, I highly recommend you get a decent camcorder. It doesn't have to be a big expensive one. I mean, I love Canon cameras. I've got a professional Canon camera that you don't want to know how much it cost, but I also have an HD Canon. It's HV40 or something like that. My thoughts on cameras is check out the lines. If you stick with Canon cameras, Sony cameras, or Panasonic cameras, I don't think you can miss. There's so many of them out there. I hate to make a specific recommendation. You probably want to consider getting an HD one. There's so many different things to consider when buying a camera. One of them is whether you want to go HD or not. YouTube handles HD very well now, so I kind of recommend you lean in that direction. As technologically as I am, I still use tape. I love tape. You're going to pay a premium to have a hard drive within a camera. That's important to some people. It's not important to me. I like recording my stuff to tape. I shoot houses and I keep all the tapes. So don't get all caught up in the technology aspect of it. But I think a good camera, I think you can buy one whopper of a good camera for doing your own home tours and whatever else you want to do for probably between $300 and $600. If you are going to do your own your videos, spend $50 on a tripod. Shaky video is the worst possible aspect of doing your own videos. So that's something I would recommend is getting a tripod. Did that help, Kenny?
Steve, well, I want to thank you so much. I think we're out of time. Kenny said yes, thank you.
Very good.
We want to thank you again for your presentation. I think you offered a lot of great information. We will record today's presentation and post it at screaltors.com/webinar. If any of you guys want to share it on your blogs or any of your other social media networks. And stay tuned for our next presentation. Thanks again, Steve, and thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you, everybody.